All right, hey guys, it's Luke. I was just trying to stream this into Facebook Live, but it's not being cooperative today, so we'll just skip that and I'll add the video in later. Hope everybody's doing well. See, we got Susan and Jesse, Jada. I'm always sorry. I always forget. I always messing that up. Probably. I don't know if it's Jada or Jada. So you'll have to tell me. Alan, Michaela, and Matt. So thanks, guys, for jumping on here. A few questions we got. I'll give it a couple more minutes, but definitely got some good questions here. Good, Jada, got it. Good. I was thinking that was probably it because that's not what I was saying. So sorry about that. Hope we're squared away now on that. Some good questions. Like I said, we did open this up to people in the Facebook group, the Hansons Marathon Method Facebook group. I just wanted to get them a little bit of exposure to what we do every couple weeks here with the Q&A and stuff like that. I did get a question emailed to me as well, so I'll make sure I hit that on that as well. All right, so 11:58. We'll just get going. I think this is probably about it. Let's look at that audience again. So Tim, if you jump on, I need to know how far away your race is. That would definitely change my answer. So, all right, in any case, I'm going to go through Pete's question first because I know he said he was not going to be able to make it. So he can he'll be able to listen to this. And then by the time I get through, it'll be afternoon and then officially be rolling. So, all right, Pete asked, he's in our Boston group. Yeah, he's in the Boston group. So in any case, unfortunately, I'm not able to make your meeting today after reading your post yesterday. So if you missed that, I posted yesterday on the buffer, creating a buffer and what potential issues you may have with that. But so if you don't, it's on my page, hansonscoachingservices.com. It's also in all the groups. I blasted it through yesterday, and it's in Final Surge as well. So we started thinking about his target. His PR is 8:30. I'm assuming 8:32 pace per mile. My target for Boston is 8:20. I know that I am capable of 8:20 for multiple miles. As my first 18 miles during my PR was at Bayshore last May, 8:09. He was 8:09 pace, so he was plenty fast through 18, and he faded back from 18 to 26 and ended up running 8:32 pace, which means he ran significantly slower than 8:32 pace those last 8 miles to bring it up 23 seconds a mile. So he probably faded pretty hard. But his thought was that for my target, that was my thought for my target of 8:20. As I am progressing through my training with you, I'm questioning if 8:20 is the correct target or should I shoot for 8:15 based on the opinion that I will be in better shape, not just the first 18 to 20. Okay. But especially for the final 5 to 6 miles. Appreciate your thoughts. Okay. So this occurs pretty common. What you'll see is people start getting into shape and all of a sudden what was going to be their goal pace is now fairly easy, right? And so I think what you have to do is you have to weigh your options. So essentially, yes, you can push for that 8:15 because it doesn't seem like a big difference between 8:15 and 8:20. But what's going to happen when 8:15 is now going to put you right on riding that fine line between training hard and overtraining, and then you go out again and now you still run and you feel excited and you go 8:10 pace again, and then you maybe don't fade back to 8:32 pace, but you fade back slower than what your original goal of 8:20 pace was, right? So you essentially are going to run that risk of crashing and burning, and which is fine if you're willing to accept that. But I think, and especially in a course like Boston, where if you're too fast early on, you're really going to pay the price for it later. And the thing is, if you're conservative those first 18 to 20 at Boston, you get through all the hills. After heartbreak, it's a steady downhill all the way to the finish, right? You make up a lot of you can make up a lot of time without even really necessarily trying, air quotes. You're definitely gonna be trying, but you're gonna have gravity going to be helping you out quite a bit. So personally, I would say no, because 8:20 pace is going to be a big PR for you, right? And in my mind, if you train with the idea of 8:20 pace, chances are you're still going to be a little bit fast. So maybe you do run 8:15 pace or so the first several miles at Boston, which isn't too bad because you do get the downhills and stuff like that. But if you were going to say, oh, I'm going to run 8:15 pace, and all of a sudden that turns into 8:10 or 8:05 pace, then you're setting yourself up for disaster again that last 6-8 miles again. So I personally would say no, keep it at 8:20, because that's already going to be a 12-second per mile PR. So over 26 miles, you're talking several minutes. And if you err on if it's a little fast from between 8:15 and 8:20, you're going to be much better off. You're still going to be going out way more conservative than you did at Bayshore, where you were 8:09 pace through 18 miles. So that's how I would approach. I think you're better off being conservative on that, because chances are you're going to be a little quick anyway. But if you're a little quick after being already a little too quick in training, then it turns into a big chunk of time that you're basically setting yourself up in that same situation you were in before, and you want to avoid that situation. So personally, I would be conservative on that. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, so let's go into questions you guys left me. So Michaela, I started the 30 to 40 mile week plan in November for a March race. Honestly, each month falling short of the planned mileage, and really didn't get serious until January. So you're obviously not ready for a full on 318. So you're basically looking at less than 12 weeks from the first of the year. And so you want to do one in the end of April now. So the question is, where do I start the plan? Do I count backwards from the 429 and start on that week? I'm currently about to taper on the original plan. So you don't, but no, I think you're saying you're not sure how to continue. Okay, so basically, yeah, you don't want to jump into the taper. You can count back from the race. And so basically what you're saying is how to do that within Final Surge. And so basically you'd have to delete the plan that's in there now and then reapply it for the new end date. That's all you'd have to do. So you can just go into where your training plan is within the back, your back end of your training log, delete that plan. It's still going to be in your system. You can reapply it to that 429 date. And so that'd basically be the easiest thing to do, would be to basically redo that last, six or so weeks that you would have to do. Now, given that that's going to be a long time without any breakup, you're basically going to be doing a ton of strength and big tempo runs that you've already done in the first part of the plan, and then you basically do that again. That might be a little bit much. So you might want to scale back a little bit and just jump up a tempo, start over and do like a 6 mile tempo for a week, 8 mile tempo the next week, and then like another 3 weeks of 10 mile tempos, just to kind of break it up a little bit. And also I would maybe take one of those strength workouts that would be in there in that last 6 weeks. So it's all going to be strength workouts. Maybe take one of those out and just do some 800s one of those weeks at 10K pace, just to break things up a little bit. Because otherwise you're going to be doing a lot of stuff at right around marathon pace. And it'd be, by that time it'd be a couple of months since you've done anything speed oriented. So maybe do something like that. I think that's a good way to approach it, because then you're going to get the big tempo. You're still going to get a couple more big 10 mile tempo runs, but I think you scale back a little bit so you're not overtrained at that point, because otherwise you'll end up doing 6 or 8 10 mile tempo runs, and that's probably too much. 3 or 4 would be plenty. So scale that back, give yourself a little break on the tempos, but still do a tempo, just do them a little bit shorter, and then introduce one of the speed workouts. Just one that you like to do is fine. and substitute that in for one of the strength workouts. That's how I do it. And I think you'll be okay, because you're still not going to have a segment that's super long, because you, like you said, you weren't really training serious until the first of the year. So you were still maintaining fitness, because it sounds like you were still running, just not really training that hard. So you're kind of basically in a base building situation is what it sounds like. And then now your segment will be in that 18-week range. So I think you'll be okay. Big thing here now, though, I would say to you, though, is if you really start getting tired and it's more than cumulative fatigue, maybe scale back a little bit on the mileage and just kind of, if you're running 60 miles, or was it where you say the 40-mile a week plan? So if you're 40 miles a week, well, you should still feel pretty good on 40 miles a week. It should be that's not super aggressive on the mileage. So hopefully that's not an issue for you. Okay, hopefully that makes sense for you. Matthew, what is your strategy for amateurs when it comes to aid stations? Do you walk through, get the cup, drink, then grab running and hope it doesn't all go up your nose? Do you get water in sports drink or just one? Okay, so let's address, there's a lot of questions in here. All right, so for the strategy, I think it honestly depends on the person. For one, especially if you're in a big group of people, don't try to hit the first table. You get into a station, there's 2, 3, 4, 5 tables, depending on the size of the race. Don't automatically pile in on that first table. Everybody's going to be trying to get to that first table. Maybe try to hit the second or third table and get what you need that way. I think, I would say the cutoff, maybe like if you're like a 3:30, 3:45 or faster, I would definitely slow down. Make sure you get the cup. Try to grab it towards the top of the cup and pinch it right away. And then so you just have like a little bit of an opening, and then you're basically throwing it down the back of your throat. The thing is, you're going to get Gatorade and you're going to get water on your face, on your singlet. It's just going to happen, right? So you're going to get stuff on you. That's just the nature of the beast. But you will minimize it if you can pinch it off at the top. Even if you slow down a little bit, make sure you get that in there, because you're really limited on how much you're going to get per cup. Maybe if you get 3 or 4 ounces per cup, then you're doing pretty good. You're always going to probably lose a little bit of that. Now, if you're slower than that 3:30 to 3:45 range, it might make more sense just to make sure you kind of walk through, get the cup. We're talking about losing like 10, 15 seconds at a station. So that's something you'll easily make up throughout the course of the race. So I think at that point, the little bit of time you lose is going to be nothing compared to what you'll gain by taking in your nutrition. If you don't take in your nutrition and you hit the wall, then you're talking about losing minutes per mile and several minutes per mile for some people. So I think at that point, it's more, it's a better strategy to just make sure that you are getting the water cups in the Gatorade. Do I get water and sports drink or just one? My general rule of thumb is that stations that you're going to be taking a gel at, or your chews, or wherever you're going to get a big source of carbohydrate, take water. All the other ones, take Gatorade, because you're not taking enough Gatorade. The cups are small enough where you're not overloading the stomach with Gatorade at one point, right? You're just getting a couple ounces per cup, and that's going to be in and out of your system pretty quickly. So that's what I would do. That's how I did. And honestly, not all races do that for, set up tables for elites. Like I'm running Bayshore in the spring. I'm going to be in the same situation where I've got to take cups and make my strategy around that too. So yeah, it is nice having those. And, but you'll often see elites grab cups along the way too. So it's not just for elites in that situation, but hopefully I think that's the best way to approach it. Kind of use that time where you're at for time to determine if you want to stop and walk or if you want to keep running. But I think even if you slow down, you're going to lose just a few seconds, and more than likely you'll make that up along the way. Shelby, sorry, I skipped this one. What are your nutrition recommendations through training? Well, that's a big question. I mean, that's probably a lecture in all itself. But specifically, what you're asking here, so what the timing would look like for meals when we do a double run. So I can tell you basically what my schedule is. I get up at around 5, and I will try to. Well, I definitely have coffee, and then I will try to have a bar, isogenics bar, which is it's almost like a meal, few hundred calories, but it's protein, carbs, and fat. And I'll have that about 5:36, and that gives me 2 hours before I start running. But I'll have that in the morning. Biggest thing is to make sure, because if you're training early morning, you might not want that bar. You might want to just wait until after that first run, but you have to make sure that you're getting nutrition in after that run. I don't necessarily care if it's an easy run and you're going into it with no food or anything, that you're not out there long enough to have it really matter. And it can actually be a good thing for adapting to fat burning and things like that. But what you have to do is make sure you get food in. So if you run early in the morning, make sure you get breakfast before you go into work or something like that, or whatever your situation is. So I would do that, and then that'll put you probably early to mid-morning, snack, light lunch, something that's in the 400 or 500 calorie range. But I tend to snack a lot during the day just to make sure I'm getting enough calories in. My lunch won't be more than 500 or 600 calories, but I'll probably eat a fair amount throughout the time because I'm spacing it out throughout, say from 10 to 2, in that 4-hour range, I'm spreading out the calories. And then I will do my afternoon runs about between 2 and 3 o'clock. Simply, that's when I have the luxury of doing that. And then I'll go home and we have dinner about 5:30. So then I'll have that. And then I tend to eat my last thing about 8 o'clock at night and then go to bed. So I have about a 12-hour range where I'm not eating anything. But that's something we talk about another time. But that's generally what the nutrition and it looks like. Just making sure you're getting enough calories in, but spacing it out throughout the day, especially for that afternoon run, because that's the one you're probably going to have the most issues with as far as from GI standpoint. So you really want to space those calories out throughout the day so you don't have a big lump of lunch sitting in your stomach and then you're going to go for a run after work. And then if you're going to be deficient on calories, I would say have a snack after that afternoon run and then eat your dinner within a couple hours, and then it should be pretty good. Post long runs, pretty much similar thing. I think unless it's designated as a depletion long run, what I would do is basically same thing I do in the morning, a little bit of fluid, a little bit of some kind of either a shake or a protein bar. I usually go protein bar in the morning and then do my long run, but my long run, I'll try to have my fluids if I can. At least I'll pack my gels with me. A lot of times I'll practice the gels during the long run. And then again, after the long run, that's where that recovery window is really, really short, so if you can, the tighter you can make that window, the better. So I'd say within the first 30 minutes, you want to get something with protein and carbohydrates in it. So a lot of times they'll say 20 grams of carbs, but newer guidelines are really 20 to 40 grams of carbohydrates. And then 20 to 40 grams of protein, and then at least 20 grams of carbs. I'll try to make that more. I actually try to get significantly more than that. So the shake I use is 36 grams, and that's my good post long run because it's easy. I can take it with me if I'm at a group long run. It's there. It's quick. I can slug it down, no problem. That's 36 grams of protein. I think 20 to 25 grams of carbs. And then a lot of times there'll be bagels and fruit there. So I'll grab some of that to boost that carbohydrate intake right away. And that's literally within the first 15 minutes. And then by that time, sometimes I'm full. So I might just have another snack within an hour after that. But you want to make sure that initial food that you get in is as soon as you possibly can after that long run. That's what's going to stimulate the glycogen resynthesis. It's going to fill the stores back up. It's going to preserve the muscle mass better, all that good stuff. And then ideally within the next 2 hours after that, you'd want to have a decent meal. So it all depends on what time you get done, what meal that is. So hopefully that helps. I think that's good. But as far as the recommendations through training, that's a big question. I think that's something that needs to be addressed on its own discussion, because there's so much going on there. All right. Nick asked, I'm concerned about muscle cramps in my calves and quads based on my experience with previous marathons. Usually start having problems around mile 20. Plan to be more conservative in pacing early on. Yeah, I think that's a good initial strategy. And then honestly, just being stronger in the quads and the calves too. Like, so doing eccentric calf races. And what I think is going on there too, Nick, is, and this is pretty common for a lot of runners, is the quads are going because the glutes and the hips might be weak. And so instead of using those efficiently, your quads are doing all the work. And then obviously the calves are pretty common to go on people, because that's what's taking the brunt of the force, right? Every time you land on that foot, that force is going straight up the calf. So that Achilles and that calf is going to be taking the most beating out of all the muscle groups. And then I think the quads just get fatigued out because the glutes are doing their share of the work. So general strengthening, stuff like that. So we have the Strength for Runners programs, but there's a lot of basic glute exercises that you can do. I mean, simple search will show you a million of them. So I would focus on that. And then eccentric calf raises, just, standing on your stairs at home and letting your heels dip down an inch or two, and then just doing your normal calf raises, and do that straight leg and bent leg to get the soleus and the gastroc, and that'll help out a ton. That's actually something that I've been working on myself. So because the cramp can be from the nerve, it can be from the fatigue. Obviously, nutrition might be a part in there too. If you're a heavy sweater and you're not getting electrolytes, that might be playing a role, especially with calcium and sodium and potassium. Those are all involved in muscle contraction. So if you're lacking those, your muscles can definitely go a little bit quicker. So a lot of stuff you can try there, Nick, and I think pretty simple stuff that you can incorporate. All right, Susan, wondering if you can put on your psychiatrist hat for a moment. I feel this is all-out quest for a BQ is stunting my love for running marathons. It has become such a mental game and feel like it's taking over, hindering my performance and capability. Are these normal feelings? Yeah, they are. Are they good normal feelings? Probably not. But yeah, I would say most people go through phases of that, because it's easy to do because you're putting a lot of time, a lot of effort. You're really trying, you're laser focused on this one thing, right? And so what happens if you don't get it? And that's a scary thing, right? Like I put months and months of training in here. I spent all this money, did all these things, and then I didn't get it. And that's, and obviously there's no guarantee in anything, but, so I think what you have to do, or not have to do, but this is kind of how I would approach it, especially as in my late 30s now. And, I'm not as, my PR days they're maybe not gone, but they're definitely, that window is closing pretty quick. And, things are harder now than they used to be. Things are harder than they were, 30,000 miles ago. So, how I've kind of just taken the approach of just seeing what I can get out of myself and let the rest, whatever happens. So how high of a level can I compete for how long? Can I go till I'm 40? Can I go till I'm 45? And then you're seeing people like Meb, Kevin Castile, Bernard Lagat, they're in their 40s and they're running incredible times. So it's something that I enjoy. Like it's more about what I'm going to get out of myself now than the time. And I realize it's different because, getting that BQ is what a lot of runners really, that's the pinnacle, right? That's the pinnacle of the running game, is getting that Boston qualifier and getting to that, Super Bowl of the sport per se. And I definitely get it. So I think at some point it's good because it means you respect what you're doing. It means you respect the distance. It means you respect the training. So there's a lot of things going on there. So I think that's good. You just don't want it to be crippling, right? You want it to be a healthy fear and not a debilitating fear. And so that is the biggest balance that people have a tough time with. So I think at the end of the day, you got to do it for you in your enjoyment of, what you want, what you're trying to get out of the training and out of yourself. And, if you get the BQ, great. If not, you're still going to be the same person or a better person because of that. Right. And so you always have to kind of take that holistic approach, I guess. And I think when I've let go of the end result and focused on the process, it was much easier. Those goals actually came much easier than when I just put, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that. A lot of times it just didn't work out at all because I overcooked myself, and I was so mentally fatigued that I had nothing to fight with on race day. And so you really want to be careful of that. All right, so Tim, I asked you earlier, I think you probably didn't see it yet, but basically, Tim's basically missed 4 to 6 weeks from an Achilles injury. Assuming you can get training in the next 1 to 2 weeks, is there enough time left to get back into shape to cover the distance? And honestly, I don't know how long until your race, so I don't know. But it honestly depends, because 4 to 6 weeks of not doing anything, I would say you need a lot longer time because you're basically starting from scratch at that point. But if there's 4 to 6 weeks where you've been cross-training heavily, you've still been doing your strength training, all these other things, then you shorten that time that you need down considerably. And I would say that, you could cover the distance in like 6-8 weeks. But if you didn't do anything for that 4 to 6 weeks, I would say you basically got to start over. You would need a good 10 to 12 weeks to just be able to feel comfortable enough to actually cover the distance, throwing, time out of it. Because I think if you try to shorten that up anymore, you're going to rush it, and then you're probably just going to re-injure yourself or overcook yourself and then not even make it to the line. So I'd be careful with that. So Tim, it honestly depends on how long you have and what you've done in the last 4 to 6 weeks. I know you say little to no running, but has that been supplemented with cross training, strength training, all that good stuff? And that would make a big difference on there. All right. So Shelby now is following up with how often should we do a depletion run? Again, it depends. Like a beginning runner, I'm probably not going to have them do that at all. I think for them, it's more beneficial to practice taking in their gels, taking in their nutrition, not digging a hole they can't get out of from a metabolic standpoint. Because when you do a depletion run, you really do have a much higher risk of getting injured or getting sick, because you're basically running your stores out, right? And so when you get to that, critical level, our bodies don't handle it as well. So I really want to be careful with that. And I don't do them too often. There's a lot of different theories. Like I personally will do them earlier in a segment because they're not as long, but they're long enough to do the job, and it gives you plenty of time to recover. I think the long runs later in the cycle are meant for being faster, being longer, and then being practicing that marathon fueling. Everything later on is marathon specific. So I want you to have that marathon nutrition down. It means I want you to practice during the long runs as much as you possibly can. So it depends. I mean, and it's not something you do every week, and it's not something you probably would do every couple of weeks. It's maybe like a once a month type of thing. I know Ben with the Northern Arizona Elite, I was looking at his stuff. They do it actually the opposite. He likes doing it towards the end. But which might be fine. He's obviously had success with his folks, and they'll do it like every other long run the last 6 weeks or so. But I think for most people, that's too much. I think a little bit of stimulus goes a long way on something like that. So that's something I would be careful with. Okay. So excellent questions, guys. I think I don't see anything else popping up. We got a lot of people in here. Good. So if there's nothing else, and so I have people who are, I invited the people in the Hansons Marathon Method community because I wanted to, get them to see like what we're doing here in the Run Club. And so that's why I have this screen up here. So this is the Run Club. Here's our message board. Pretty cool. And that's actually gotten very active in the last couple months. I think with the new notification system, I think it's helped out a ton. But yeah, you guys have been very, very active on that. So this is what the Run Club looks like as far as the message boards. I'll go to the dashboard here. Oop. This is my this is my training. So go to the Run Club dashboard. And so you see the message board, and then we have a social wall, a lot like a Facebook wall. So I got to respond to Andy here, but it's cool. We get the notifications on there, so you can get notified every time somebody posts on there. And then if all our plans, you can find a plan. Every single plan we've made is in here. So you can add strength training into a marathon plan or half marathon plan, whatever you want. So those all come with it. So for the $30 a month or $25 a month, you get all that, right? So a lot of the, and then on the resources, a lot of the videos that we've done, all kinds of stuff that we've done. I think one thing that gets underutilized on here is the nutrition aspect here. I actually have meal plans on here. So let's pull this up real quick. So I have meal plans all the way up from 2,000 to 3,000 calories. Actually, I have more I need to put in. So lots of good stuff in there. So if you're on the fence and you're in the Marathon Method Facebook community and you want coaching, but you don't necessarily want to get the full-blown coaching package, this is a great option because you get the group. Group is very supportive of everybody in there, and looks good. So if you want to try that, you can get 30 days free. It's just when you sign up, do HCS trial 30. That's HCS trial 30. That'll give you 30 free days. And then you can go month to month. We have a 6-month option and a year option. And, I think the 6 month is basically paying for 5 months, and the year option, you're basically paying for 10 months worth of the subscription. So give it a try if you want. I mean, we've got quite a few people in there now. We've got a few hundred people in there right now. It's been much more active since we've updated the system there, which is awesome. Ideally, I'd like to grab it. Tim with Final Surge has a lot of things he wants to go do with improving that. I think we're on a good track there. So I think it's only going to get better and better. We can actually maybe kind of move away from Facebook a little bit, but I have no idea on the timeline on that, but it's something where I think, because just the way that Facebook is acting now with more focus on individuals and not groups and businesses, I think we're kind of getting weaned out unless we want to spend $1 million on advertising. So just keep that in mind. If you want to try it, give it a try for 30 days. And then, just cancel before the 30 days is up if you don't want to do it. And, if it's not for you, but if so, we'll just, we'll keep on rolling. And I think we got a ton of people in there right now and like to keep that growing. So I'll let that go. Michaela asked a question, or just made a comment. So the pacing zones, very cool. Absolutely. Paces will be incorporated into plans. So I know Tim's working on that. I think he was going to do it last week, but I held him up actually because I was on vacation. So I think that's going to be done very, very soon, which will be a very cool feature to have. So in any case, thanks for attending, guys. I love the questions, and I'll talk to you again in a couple weeks here. All right. See ya.